Okay. I hope everybody made it over. Right now it's just me and Judy. Um the two hearings before this one was about discovery. And I don't know if they resolved their discovery problems. Um the problem is we've got a really young prosecutor. Plus, Jacksonville Beach's evidence goes on to a digital format called myevidence.com. And you've got an older, not old, he's probably younger than I am, defense attorney that can't quite figure out how to get the digital evidence. They're downloading it, the prosecution is downloading it onto hard drives from myevidence.com. He can't quite figure out. He's getting zip files that are taking like 2 hours long to download, and then he opens them and he has nothing. And some things are web based. And so he's having trouble getting discovery. So they did a hearing 3 weeks ago, and then there was one last week. And then I don't know if the one today is about the same issue or not. But that's what the two previous ones were. So this is Shanna Gardner. She's an heiress. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. I didn't know that she was until this started. They're iScrapbook, so I have heard of this company before. It's called Stampin' Up, and they make these cute little stamps that you with ink pads and you can stamp onto your scrapbook pages. And apparently, I never used them that much, but apparently they made a lot of money with this company, and she is the heiress to this company. So she's got, she's pretty too. So pretty privilege and lots of money, and so her ex-husband, they had twins. Hey Flash. They had twins, and a very bad divorce, and she married this other guy, and she went in full custody of her twins, and their marriage was on the rocks. And he's like, I know what I'll do to save my marriage. And together, they hired someone. Their text messages, they talked about hiring a magician to make him disappear. So it's not funny, but it's funny. I mean, like, they weren't subtle at all. So he got the twins. Like, they had a full partial, like, joint custody. I figured that you were modding Flash. I'm sorry about your family stuff. But I figured you were busy over on AJ's channel. So I've been thinking about you though, sweetie. But there were other custody arrangements. I don't know if it's like every other weekend or what, but one night a week he got the twins for like to take them out for like a family dinner thing. And they'd gone out to eat. He took them home. He was almost home. Like, he was in front of his like subdivision, where gated community, whatever, wherever he lived in Jacksonville Beach. And there was something in the road and he couldn't go around it, and he got out to move it, and he was shot and killed. His 2-year-old daughter was in the back seat of the car, heard everything. She said something like, there was a loud noise and then daddy got sick and fell down. She put her shoes over her ears because it was so loud. Her mom just won, I think last year or the year before, she got some kind of award, a Back the Blue award or something like that. She started a foundation called Bexley's Boxes. A tire. That's what I thought, but I couldn't remember for sure, so I didn't want to say that. It was a tire in the road. And Bexley was their daughter. And Bexley Boxes, it's boxes of things like diapers and toys and stuff like that for kids that are in that type of situation. Hey, Melissa. In that kind of situation, traumatic things like that for small kids that don't understand what's going on, blankets, stuffed animals, stuff like that. It was this March. Okay. I don't know why I was thinking it was last year. Okay. So very, very sad case. And they had another small child at home. For some reason I thought she was pregnant, but they had an infant at home. So, Judy. Oh, okay. For some reason, we were under the false impression that Karen Reed had a hearing this morning. So, okay, let me see if I can find it. Not like the first hearing, but the first hearing about the digital discovery, somebody was in on Zoom, and the sound was great because the judge kept saying microphone, because the only way the person on Zoom could hear them was if they used a microphone. And then the next hearing, everybody was in the courtroom. So she wasn't pushing the microphones as much, so it's a little harder to hear. So I'm not quite sure if the sound is going to be great or not. So if you have earbuds, you might want to use them. But this judge is really good at controlling the courtroom. Thank God, because the Linda Sturmer trial, that judge let those lawyers run all over her, and it drove me crazy. No, it was a woman. Flash, it was a woman. I don't remember her name. But this judge, they'll be talking and she'll go, whoa, pause, and then that's the other attorneys what they think about whatever it is, and then they'll talk and he'll go, whoa, pause. She's really great. I love her. I absolutely love this judge. I should have had this ready. You guys, I'm still new at the live streaming stuff. I've been doing videos and stuff for over 2 years, but the live streaming stuff is still new. I put it in my watch later. Should be the very first in my watch later list. Why is it not popping up? Oh, there it is. Why does it look like I already watched it? I haven't watched it yet. I found it. Yay.
Dropped the external off at the state attorney's office after court last time the same day. We received the download on Thursday of last week. There were some folders that we were not able to open.
Okay, well, tell me which ones.
Well, we did get a different download from Ms. Stifler this morning that I think resolved that issue. But for instance, the first item, the unredacted copy of the 250-page ATF report, we got a 233-page report, and the cover page is different.
What number was that? If you could go by number.
Yes, item 3.
3, okay. Okay. What's next?
Item 5, the ATF cell data animated PowerPoint. The PowerPoint in question, we have, as it appears to be an 8-slide PowerPoint. We received a single slide in response, and I don't believe it's the same map or report.
All right.
Item 15, the OSCR 360 photos. We received the same 4 diagrams that were previously provided, and I believe those are the same 4 diagrams that were also provided in response to item 157, which is the Faro diagram, and item 158, which is the ET diagrams. And I guess it's twofold problem. One, since we got the same 4 diagrams in response to all 3 items, we don't know which is which. And as it pertains to the Faro diagram and the OSCR 360 photos, we think we should have essentially the data that goes into the making of the diagram. We believe it's the laser mapping of the scene.
What ET created this? You don't know? You're not able to cross-reference what witness would have done this?
If I had to guess, I think Jarman, but I'm not positive.
All right. Okay.
Then item 22, we got an 8-page attachment, and it is unredacted compared to the attachment we previously received, but the one we previously received was 6 pages, and the one we just received was 8 pages, so we just, I guess, need to confirm how long the correct attachment is and whether we have it.
Okay.
Item 23, there was no response. Item 24 should have been an attachment for John Biggerstaff's Regions Bank response. And the report specifically states that it's a subpoena return from Regions Bank for Biggerstaff for May 22nd through November 22nd. And the documents that we received last week were from January 2022 to April 30, 2022. So they're not the right documents for that report.
So, tell me what the report says again. It's
the report says the subpoena return from Regions Bank is for Biggerstaff,
right.
May 22 through November 22.
May 22 through November 22?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you got January 2022 through what?
April 30th, 2022.
All right.
Then for item 25, that is supposed to be an attachment to supplement 162, and that report states, I received a subpoena return from AT&T for John Biggerstaff's phone covering March through July 2022, and I believe we've got 5 different subpoena returns on Thursday as this attachment.
So what's the problem there?
It should just be 1 return.
Is it for those toll records?
Yes.
Is it a different date range?
I believe that date range is included. I guess that just more goes to we're getting duplicative, more of a data dump than a specific response.
Okay.
Then item 27 is supplement 164. It should be attachment NFCU return for Gardner and Fernandez. And that report states, I received a subpoena return from Navy Federal Credit Union along with explanations as to why some documents were not given in the returns. Again, it appears that we received kind of a dump of all of Ms. Gardner and Mr. Fernandez's Navy Federal credit returns, and I did not see anything that seemed to be from this return or any explanations.
And so you're saying you got
Your Honor,
just
I think what just to sort of explain what Ms. Day's talking about is that we are getting all of the records that we've already gotten again, whereas 164, the narrative is, I received a subpoena return from Navy Federal Credit Union. We don't know which one was received on this date of this report, which is January 16, 2024, along with explications. I assume that's a typo and they meant explanations as to why some documents were not given in the returns. And one of the major concerns that Ms. Day and I had going through this is, where is this explanation document that they received or letter that they received from Navy Federal that has these explanations as to why some documents were not in the return? And it says a copy will be placed into property.
So in response to 27, you got a duplicate of records that you already have, but you're missing the explanation.
Right, and the records, I mean, Judge, if I could, there are duplicates upon duplicates.
Okay.
The records are mixed in with each other in certain PDFs. I mean, it bounces from Ms. Gardner's to Mr. Fernandez's to the trust back to Mr. Fernandez. And if that's the way they were received, okay, I got it. But we don't know that because they're not being provided to us what we believe, in the form that they were received from NFCU. Maybe they are, okay, but there's clearly some explanation document as to why some documents are missing, and we don't have that either.
Okay.
And
What witness would this relate to? 27.
the report was written by Detective Johns.
Is there a witness that's listed for Navy Federal?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. I think if anything, there may be a category B that has a custodian of records.
All right. All right, Ms. Day.
The next one, item 156, the DLE surveillance clip. I anticipated that being just one video, considering we only have one FDLE report, which is for review of a single video. But on Thursday, we received 323 videos.
Of what?
A mishmash of surveillance, ring videos, Nest cameras, things like that.
Whereas FDLE in their report talks about a specific video, 1800 to 1900, Fed 16 driveway camera, 49.21 truck.mp4.
And you don't know whether that's contained therein, what was disclosed?
I have not gone through the 323 videos
And I think our point is, Judge, is that they're just dumping things on us without making an effort on their side to be responsive to our demand.
So
He's
in the
still
order, I wanted you
messing
all to
with them.
get what was, at least according to the documents that have been filed in the property room. So I gave them time, that is 5 days, to categorize and update the discovery. I don't think the 5 days have expired at this point. So what they provided to you, they should be documenting, and the order was for them to categorize them pursuant to 3.220. Do you see what I'm saying?
Judge,
Like, I wanted you all to be able to get whatever, in going through the list in the compel, some of these things, for example, where it says SDE, which stands for State Discovery Exhibit, July of 2022. So y'all, in my mind, should have had this 3 years ago. So I wasn't expecting necessarily that it would be categorized. I wanted you all to have the information. They had the time to categorize it at that point in time. If they needed to update, they could update. But what was sitting in the property room, I didn't want it just sitting there. I wanted y'all to have the ability to have it. So I think
The defense wants sanctions.
is some of this new to you? The fact that there are 323 videos?
This information they're telling me is new to me today, and all they had to do was call me and tell me. I had them come Thursday. The idea being, I didn't want this to happen.
They were supposed to
Making
have a
fun of
meeting.
My paralegal, he did which is going to be part of my filing, actually organized each response based on what we pulled from the property room, exactly as it was in the property room, by the number corresponding to their list, for them to click on each folder in the presence of my paralegal, verify what was there. There was one video from Walmart that wouldn't work. They all spoke via email. They signed off, Ms. Day and Ms. Peoples at the bottom of this sheet. I heard nothing otherwise to indicate that there was any issues or problems that they're bringing to the court's attention now in open court. So I have not categorized or done the disclosure or the filing yet. From my
Being
perspective,
shady
I
now.
heard nothing. I got a signed receipt saying I received all these items, other than an email alerting me a Walmart video didn't work, so I brought a working copy this morning. So I'm sorry I can't respond to this right now. This
No,
is a surprise to me this morning.
Well,
But I will say to the court, what they've been provided, my paralegal and Detective Johns actually pulled the property clerk from Jack's Beach property and copied as is what was listed and attached to each supplement. The FDLE surveillance clip, when I looked at the folder, it was organized into subfolders, which showed the clips that FDLE had made, and I believe he included the full videos that they pulled the clips from, just for reference. It's not meant to be a data dump. It's meant to be a completion of discovery. Number 5, they received one slide. They showed me one slide in court Friday. I had no idea that there were additional slides they were requesting. So I'm going as best I can off their list. And I'm going off of the reference reports for Jack's Beach Police. So I think this could be all solved if we just have a conversation or discuss this at our Thursday hearing, our Thursday discovery meeting, because I think there's some things where I could easily clear up, like the Oscar 360 diagrams. Those 4 diagrams are what we have. That came straight from the property room. If they have other questions, I'm happy to answer them Thursday, but I will file the disclosure listing anything that wasn't previously provided.
Hold on, the FDLE, what unit is this? And
it is the video, I don't know the technical term for it. FDLE has a unit, and they were able to take surveillance video from the scene, from various Ring cameras, Nest cameras, surveillance cameras, and make attempts to basically zoom in, lighten it, augment the video so that it was more visible in order to identify the shooter. So it was more so just,
We know who the
kind of
shooter is. He pled
technical
guilty.
editing to make it more visible.
all right, and this, I'm assuming the 323 was not disclosed that way. The 323 videos.
all I will have to look. All the videos were previously disclosed because those are the surveillance from the scene. I can disclose specifically the video clips that are in the subfolders in the folder they've been provided. It was more, and to be honest with the court, it was for investigative purposes that we did the video editing. At the time, we did not know the identity of the shooter.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
They know
there
him
are
now.
discovery purposes to it, but it was truly an attempt to identify the individual that we see on scene committing the homicide before we knew who it was. So it was an investigative step that we did.
Okay. Well, let me finish the list with Ms. Day.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do they need that now? He pleaded guilty. He's
We
going
were
to
on 156.
against them.
So there were 323 videos,
Yes.
and the time frame was 1800 to 1900. You thought it was one clip.
I know it was one clip. The report from FDLE says they received one clip via email.
Okay.
which they don't need. But how's it one
Okay,
clip if they
keep
got
going.
a bunch of different video cameras? That doesn't make sense either.
Then we kind of already talked about 157 and 158 are the same as, I think it was item 15, the Oscar 360 photos. There was no response to items 160, 161, or 162. Item 171 was a surveillance video from 4021 Palm Way. We have not gotten those ones to appear. It just appears as black and white static. I'm not sure if it's that way on the state's end as well, or just ours, but that video we have issues with.
Which number was that?
171. Technical issues, like you open it up and it's nothing, or it just appears to be like,
It just shows as black and white static.
Oh man, the
Right.
vocal fry on these girls in this case is gonna drive me crazy.
I believe we received 176 and 177 via a flash drive this morning, though I have not had a chance to go through them.
176 and what?
177.
Okay.
Or, no, I'm sorry. 176. We got 176 this morning, not 177. We got 177 on Thursday. But Ms. Stifler's assistant, Mr. Taylor, indicated Detective Johns could not recall what ESST stood for. So we got 155 surveillance videos, and we believe that they're duplicates, but I suppose we still don't actually know the purpose of them.
So you did get a response to 177 and it's 155 videos.
Yes,
All right. All right.
178, which should be the Snapchat clip of scene provided by E. Fraunheim. We received a screenshot of an Instagram post as opposed to a Snapchat video.
Somebody put it on Instagram? What the heck? People are stupid.
Is it Instagram related or no?
It is an Instagram post. I don't know why it's labeled Snapchat.
So that needs an amendment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Then there was no response to 179.
There is. On your hard drive, we included the last file, prior email regarding 179 and 180.
That's the question.
Yes, ma'am.
179 and 180.
And again, as I said, I can't provide something that's not tangible. So I did let them know that I was prepared to answer the questions. Nobody followed up. So I'm prepared to answer the questions. There's no ability to put that onto a folder. As far as 160, 161, and 162, there are none. There were no photos taken of those items, of the fingerprinting.
So 160, 161,
And 162, there are none further.
it says it was in a previous discovery download. Is that not right?
There are no further media release images. We disclose the 3 that exist.
And when they're referring to photographs, are they talking about like latent print cards, or is that
Yes.
captured different?
Much like JSO processing, they don't, at least in my experience, there's nothing to photograph when they're processing the fingerprints. I'm certain that there are fingerprint cards, most likely, that when they depose the person who's doing the fingerprint, they could provide those, or I can request those, but there are no photos. They don't photograph the latent print cards.
Ms. Day, what were y'all expecting? Do y'all just want to inspect it if it exists with an expert?
Yeah, I had kind of just thought that there would be a photograph of a print collected. If that doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, but.
No, it probably exists in a different form, I guess is what, if it's similar to JSO, it'll be a card, and then the card remains with property.
They wouldn't photograph fingerprint unless it was like a bloody fingerprint or something on a scene. There'd be a photograph, but just regular latent fingerprints, they don't photograph that generally. But there will.
Did you want to inspect it?
We may ask for that, yeah.
Why don't you clarify then instead of no response? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, I'm telling the state to clarify. If it's a card, it's a card, or if it exists
Yes, Your
with the expert.
And I'm not trying to overstate this, but again, if we all speak Thursday and I'm able to file the state's response as required by the court, I think a lot of this will be cleared up.
Right. I just want to know when you all do respond,
Yes, ma'am.
that it's either resolved or we need to move forward. So,
We were at 178. Are there others?
I still I don't see a folder for 179 on my external, so
It's not a folder, it's an email. It says prior email regarding 179 and 180.
Okay, I just didn't scroll far. Okay, so I do have that one. Then 181, the body worn camera from Henry Tenon's arrest. We received 2 videos from January 25th, 2023, but he was initially arrested on August 18th, 2022. That footage has been sent to the media, and we did find it or a clip of it on YouTube. So that is the footage that we're requesting.
Okay. So his arrest on the DWSR? No, his arrest on the homicide.
Yes.
what are tire stains?
There was staining on a tire left in a road that was photographed and swabbed.
Did y'all?
I'm sorry, I don't know what was in the folder, but there was
Okay.
ET photographs of the tire. I don't know what she meant by stains. The stains were swabbed and sent for processing.
All right. Y'all got that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What's missed? What else?
I had marked 185 as a video that we could not play, but I did get it via flash drive this morning. I just haven't had a chance to open it and review it.
Okay.
And then I had marked 186 as we received 69 videos, but I was not able to get them to open or play.
So you believe you're missing one? It says 70.
And still having trouble opening.
All right. Does that conclude it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold and see what you all are able to resolve as far as this meeting that's going to occur. To the extent that the state can, I guess, maybe amend some of the things and have it prepared prior to your meeting on Friday. I think it might help clarify some things. For example, if it's mislabeled, if it's like if you call over there and you say, these aren't photographs, this is a card that exists with, as much as you can clarify, because I think that if I'm hearing Mr. Carodi correctly, he wants to be prepared, Ms. Day wants to be prepared for what they're, I guess, going into, and they should be prepared saying, this is what we're missing. And then y'all are gonna work on the remainder of the list? Is that how it's gonna work?
Yes, on Thursday, I want to discuss with them,
Is it Thursday or Friday?
our discovery meeting's Thursday.
Okay,
Specifically, the subpoena returns, the way that the documents are being tendered to them is the way that we receive them from the bank. Mr. Fernandez, Ms. Gardner, and her trust, they were all on accounts together, so the accounts are mixed together. I didn't just throw them in a pile and photocopy them that way. That's how I received them from Navy Federal, Regions Bank. The biggest lift for my side, as I told the court last time, is going to be to try to correlate for them the responses we received based on subpoenas we were given. Because we sent subpoenas multiple times to the same bank because they were not responding to our date ranges, or they were sending non-responsive records. So it's not just a discovery problem. That is how we received it from the bank. If I have to list somebody from the bank and make them available for deposition to testify from their end about how they receive records, how they keep records, I'm happy to do that, but that's going to take me some time. I can't do that. Like going to the property room in 5 days was fine, but it's going to take a conversation between us and defense counsel, which is why I think Thursday will be helpful. We're not going to be able to solve it Thursday. I don't want to give the court or defense any false expectations there. I'm not going to be able to sit in an hour and line by line match up a subpoena return to a subpoena for each one of these bank records, but I can certainly get from them an idea of where their confusion is. Questions like, this subpoena is attached to this supplement, it has this date range, and we have records for X date range. Some of the explanations given were because detectives are calling and following up, so there may be letters of explanation, there may be information they received via telephone. I can help put on notice defense if there's information that they need to ask the detectives about at depositions regarding any conversations they had orally with any of these custodians or people from these financial institutions, cell phone carriers, et cetera.
okay. All right, let's, you have the detective here on the devices.
Yes, Turner,
Okay,
you want him to step forward?
yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
This is Detective J.S. Padilla, P-A-D-I-L-L-A.
All right. So the reason why I asked that you come to court is that the state, I believe you asked for 60 days.
I'll let Detective Padilla speak to that. Judge, I have spoken with the detective and we have reviewed Ms. Gardner's motion to compel digital forensic data. What has become clear to me, having spoken to their expert via email and speaking with Detective Padilla, is that they are requesting forensic imaging and extractions from the devices themselves, which colloquially we have been referring to in court as quote unquote raw data. That is generally not something that is in the state's possession I have, in my career in our office, never received raw data from a phone extraction. I receive a Cellbrite download or an Axiom download for a device from the CFIU unit. I give it in discovery. That is not something we generally ever receive and or tender in discovery. There have been cases where defense hires a forensic expert who makes a request to inspect or request to look at the raw data or receive raw data for a device. The reason being, and I'll have Detective Padilla testify to this in a moment or explain to the court in a moment. The data from the phone has to be parsed so that it's readable. If they have an expert who wishes to parse the data themselves, that is why they would want to receive that raw data. The raw data is voluminous. It is very, very difficult to transfer. It is going to take a long time to transfer between devices. When they parse the data, the court should not be surprised, and their expert, I'm sure, would tell you the same thing. The parsed data they get is going to be different from the data we parse because it's been 2 years since we parsed it. Because of the way Cellbrite and Axiom work and the way cell phones work, as iOS's update or Android software updates and Cellbrite updates its software over time, we are able to parse more data as we catch up to the technology of the phone. So I just want everyone to not be aware that that's going to happen, and that's normal and expected. However, their motion to me seems to be just a blanket, we want this raw data for every device in the case, including devices that in a state's estimation have little evidentiary value. The deceased victim's work computer, the deceased victim's laptop, some other items, and the computers contain an exponentially large amount of data, larger than the raw data you would get from a cell phone. So I will have Detective Padilla explain to the court the timeline and the procedure of what he's going to do, as well as to advise the court. And as it regards to Jared Bridegan's devices, the raw data is stored currently on a CFIU detective's hard drive. CFIU for JSA recently moved offices to a new location. During the move, part of his hard drive was damaged. Detective Padilla has been undergoing a data recovery procedure, and I'll let him kind of explain to the court how that's going, but that is going to, at least for the deceased victims' devices, that is going to be longer than 60 days to recover that data and give them the raw data from his computers. If they wish to parse the deceased victims' work computer data themselves, I mean, they're entitled to ask to inspect and do this, but it's not something we normally do in discovery. It is something if they are requesting and the court orders me to do it, we will do it, but it is going to take some time for those devices particularly.
All right, so I want to kind of hone in on the issues. Is that what the defense is requesting? Did you want this detective to do it, or were you all attempting to have your expert? Because I recall it could be related to some other issue, but I recall you all saying that you were having an expert come in, making an appointment. That appointment was canceled. So explain to me exactly what you are requesting related to these devices.
Your Honor, it's my understanding that we want the raw data.
How? Do you want your expert, like you can
Well, I mean,
make an appointment, inspect and,
copy. I mean, I think that was the initial idea, was to copy the raw data.
all right. And so you don't necessarily want
But-
JSO to provide it. You want to be able
No,
just
I
to
mean,
copy it.
If JSO wants to provide it, we'll take it. Or if they want to make it available to us, we'll copy it. I don't know why Ms. Stifler says it's, quote, not in the state's possession. Obviously, if it's in the possession of the Secret Service or other agencies that worked along with the state to prosecute this, it's in the possession of the state and it's subject to inspection, copying, and otherwise discovery. So we've asked for it. That's what we want. If they want to copy it and provide it to us, that's fine. If they want to give us access to their CFI, I think part of the problem is it's on a CFI hard drive. My understanding is they don't want to give us our expert access to their computer system, so they need to put it on some other form of media for us to take it.
All right. Well, Detective, if you'll be sworn in.
One thing, Your Honor, just to clarify that. Their expert can't extract the devices himself. It's not like I can hand him the computer and have him extract it, because once you turn a device off and leave it off, the system is going to update it and the data that we've extracted is going to be more complete than if you did another extraction. The data we extract,
What?
I'll let him speak to it, but to copy this data, he's saying copy it, his expert can't just come and copy the data. It's going to take
Let me answer that.
36 hours.
All right, you raise your right hand and be sworn in.
Detective, you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
If you would please state your full name for the record.
Yeah, Detective James Padilla, but I go by my middle name, Shannon.
Okay, Detective, have you reviewed this list?
Briefly, yes, I was provided this on Friday.
Okay. Let's, do you understand what they're asking for?
Yes, and if I can just clarify a few issues, that would be,
No,
we're all in the same.
wait. I want to know the easy answers first.
See, I told you.
Okay, the easy
Good, I love the
answers.
judge.
From this list, what can be provided as quickly as you can?
Quickly is a relative term in regards to this.
Well,
Looking
what is what can you provide?
I am currently not in possession of any of these items, so I first have to get it from whatever examiner provided this dump for them.
Wait a minute. Who?
There's multiple examiners that were involved in this case. I was not one of them.
All right.
I was brought in to help facilitate making sure all the data that was collected from all the examiners, one point of contact, so that the defense can have one response from us.
Okay.
That's been what I've been tasked to do. And to clarify, there are 3 states of information. First is the actual device that was being used, say a cell phone. Next, we're going to extract data off it. That would be what we call the raw data. And then there's the parsed decoded data that we would provide normally to the state. Our general practice is we do not provide the raw data because it's such a large data set. We usually parse, decode it, and provide that report to the state. We will provide the raw data when necessary. In this case, we're looking at I think somewhere around 19 devices. That's a large amount of data, and it's going to be very difficult. And to put into some kind of perspective, most of these are going to be roughly 1 terabyte to 2 terabytes worth of data, which is a large amount of data. 1 terabyte takes 4 to 6 hours to copy from point A to point B. I'm having to get this from whatever examiner provided it initially, which means they're going to take that I can work on it. And then I'm going to have to validate and verify that the data is the same as provided to me. And therefore, that's another 4 to 6 hours of processing and validation.
Wait a minute. So on this list, I'm counting 13, not 19.
just-
Where's that coming from?
That's just like I said, roughly 19. I haven't counted.
So it's 13.
Yes.
And I understand that it would take some time. So what this court wants to avoid is that they are, I guess, scheduling this time with whatever expert, that it's not wasted. Okay. So let's just, is one of them, I know that you want all, is one of them more probative to move you all forward? And you can have kind of a priority list of your work. Since I don't like to look at things in this big, like, oh my gosh, this is too much, because that never gets anywhere. Because if you just stop, or if we don't prioritize, we're not moving. So if y'all had to prioritize this motion.
Judge, can I file something with the court then after
Yes.
today?
Mhm.
I'm prepared to answer that right now.
Okay.
And just
From,
for court and defense's information, and I had spoken with Miss Medina about this. On their list, there are 2 categories at the end: not accessible, Apple MacBook Pro and Lacey external drive, and then another one, found in Potomac and not correlated to Tenon, 4 devices. We have no ability. The non-accessible means that they are encrypted, so the data is, we can't decode it. So those are not accessible to us or to defense. So there is no ability for us to give any kind of discovery related to those items through no fault of our own. We're unable to, I guess, crack into them, I guess is the way I would phrase that. Found in Potomac and not correlated. There were 4 devices that we seized during a search warrant at the Potomac House. We were unable to correlate those 4 devices to any of our suspects or co-conspirators in this case. So
Were they downloaded?
No, ma'am. They're just in property. They're not downloaded. So that, again, there's no discovery relating to these items. They were not correlated to our search warrant. We had no probable cause to connect them to our suspects, so we have not downloaded them.
Okay.
Judge, if we could get a written response, I mean, I think
Okay.
part of the problem is that this motion that Ms. Medina was filed the 31st of March, and this is the.
No,
first
I get
time.
it.
Yeah.
So,
And Ms. Medina and I have been emailing about this. In fact, these categories, not accessible and found in Potomac, are based on the information I gave her regarding what I just put on the record. But I've been telling the court and telling defense I plan to file a written response. I just have not been prepared to do so until we discuss amongst each other. I'll discuss with my expert, discuss with my detective. After our discovery meeting, I should be able to file some written responses to these if we're not able to come to an accord.
so I guess maybe some of this confusion maybe came up that it got uploaded on this evidence.com. It was placed on some type of disclosure as an exhibit, but what detective we're trying to avoid as much as possible, right, is a moving target on.
What now? That's the second time today this has
It's
happened.
that size and you're opening it. That's the correct.
That's bizarre.
Okay. So for example, let's just start with the first one, just so I have an understanding. Black iPhone. Were you able to associate that? Has it been down? It says no forensic images or extraction. So are you going to go through this list and say whether you had it extracted or whether there was a second search warrant?
Yes, the black iPhone 19 belongs to the deceased victim in this case. It was extracted and the data was parsed. They're requesting forensic images and extractions, which is the raw data. Raw data, unless you have a forensic machine, like a physical analyzer on a hard drive, they could give it to me. I would never be able to open it and read it. I don't have the correct forensic equipment to parse and decode the data to make it readable.
Okay, hold on just one. Is that what y'all are requesting? It looks like you just don't have anything. It says that the Word document cannot be open. I don't know what CRC stands for, but has an error. It just appears that they can't open it.
And Judge, that's my understanding as to what Ms. Medina was pointing out.
Right, not that, like,
And I think that's separate and distinct from getting the raw data from some of the devices that was being requested.
So many of these, they have the cell bright extraction, and I have disks.
what does CRC stand for, just so I know?
It's it's like a hash, but it's a validation check that a software does. I'm assuming that's a zip file or an archive file that when it was extracted, it failed at CRC check.
Oh, so maybe it's not working on y'all's end either.
I have not looked at the data yet. I'm still trying to gather all this data from all the examiners.
Okay,
But my task was to take all of the data from all of these devices and collate them together, verify they all work, verify that it's all the true and accurate thing, and then so they can get a true copy in one dump. The biggest problem I have is one of the examiners, as she mentioned, his hardware failed. The majority of these items are on that piece of hardware. I'm actively trying to recover that data. I am about a week into the recovery process right now, and it continues to fail. So my hope is by the end of the week that I'll have access to that data. But that's the biggest challenge, is getting that data off that drive.
And that
Okay.
particular data relates mainly to the devices of the deceased victim in this case.
okay,
But handing them, their expert and I have been in communication, Ms. Medina and I. My understanding is they want the raw data because they have a forensic expert who will be able to parse it. Otherwise, if I hand a defense attorney a hard drive with forensic imaging extraction raw data, I might as well be handing them a doorstop because you can't read it, you can't view it, you can't do anything with it.
I
unless you
understand.
have the physical analyzer.
I understand.
Something like that.
But what I'm looking at on their motion to compel is that what the detective just said, that these things have failed. They have no ability to even look at what detectives have. So why don't we,
Do we want to prioritize? So Gardner's motion to me is a request to provide raw data.
I will let them,
His motion is.
I'm gonna let them talk about it. But to me, the raw data, I understand it's gonna take some time. I don't necessarily, I don't know how long it would take to come up with just usable reports for attorneys to look at. It looks like 1, 2, and you're saying that hard drive got corrupted and that's what these are on? And
It's
the
not so much
devices don't,
corrupted. So it's a RAID. It's 4 drives that work in conjunction as one drive. And there's a hardware component that makes them talk together. That hardware component failed. So the individual drives are not talking to each other. And the only way to get data off those drives is to make those 3 talk together. So the hardware has failed. And I guess in the transit or the move, it got damaged.
what about the device? It doesn't exist on a device anymore?
I don't know exactly what's on his hard drive. or
No, I
what
mean,
devices that
like,
are on there.
so
Just talking about re-extract.
Yeah,
just redoing the device, you can't do that?
possible. JSO doesn't have any of these devices. This is all Jack's Beach. So they may or may not have the devices. I don't know the status of the evidence.
Well,
Because when we got, so just to back up a little bit, when somebody submits something that's out of jurisdiction for JSO to us, say a cell phone, it's not our property. We're not got nothing to do with the case. We would have returned it back to the investigating agency.
Right.
In this case, Jack's Beach.
They still, Jacksonville
So-
still has these services.
so maybe,
That is possible. The problem is when you talk about a cell phone, it's running off of SQLite databases. As soon as you power that phone back up, data is going to move. Databases are going to purge data that was scheduled for purging, and it's going to have a lot of different data that we didn't have, 3 years ago when this was all done, 4 years ago. So it's going to be different data, and it's going to create a whole host of other information if we do that.
well, they're saying they don't have anything.
I know, and
So-
my hope is I can recover the data off this hard drive, and I will have all of the original data. But I won't know that until later this week when the process. I've got
That's
16 and a
stupid.
half hours so far of actual computer processing time of
Okay,
it rebuilding that RAID. So I haven't been to the office this morning, so it was running over the weekend. So I'm hoping when I get to the office this afternoon that at least phase 1, and I'm able to image all those drives to start the next phase is to recover the data.
That is ridiculous.
So that's my goal, is to get that data.
They need to do
Majority
hard
of these items
copies.
are on that hard drive, and that's the first challenge. The second thing is re-extracting all this data. You're talking 40 to 60 hours of work to download all these datas again, and that's actual time.
okay. Well, I'll table it. I'll let y'all talk. You prioritize.
Yes, Judge.
In my mind, like,
Is this
so
the first case they've
obviously I'm
used this-
familiar with like re-downloading, the fact that Cellbrite updates, that it can get more information. If it is, when you all speak, maybe, to me, it should be wherever y'all are with the discovery. Let's say, according to this, whatever was filed, they don't have anything. So saying that the extraction hasn't been received. So
Well, the
If-
extraction refers to the raw data. They do have the Cellbrite reports because
you do?
as Ms. Day noted on her motion, they have a lot of the Cellbrite reports. They're having different sizes of files. All these Cellbrite UFDR reports that are readable have been provided. Deceased victim, I have CDs, discs. If they're missing that, that's news to me, and I can provide that this week. It's their motion, I'm reading it as forensic imaging and extraction, and that refers to the raw data. That to me was what they were missing, and that's kind of been my conversation with Ms. Medina, because Mr. Green, the only reason I'd ever provide this is if somebody had an expert. Otherwise, it's not useful information. This was what we were doing to get ready for that meeting with Mr. Green. So this was a list that she and I have been passing back and forth that she's picked.
Is that what y'all are looking for?
Judge, I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I don't think
I
they
have
know
reason
what
to
they
think that
don't
Ms.
have.
Stifler
We'll
is
speak
incorrect.
Thursday.
Yeah, so if that's the case, that's the case. I just know there was a motion filed, and that's what we were looking for.
All right.
And just to clarify one thing, because if we're going to start down this road, the prioritization would be very helpful because the bigger devices, some of the ones that are going to take longer, are computers. So if the deceased victim's work computer is a low priority to them. That is one that would take a long, long, long time. We can put it to the bottom of the list. I also need to know from Fernandez's team if they are requesting raw data, if they have an expert that's going to parse it, because I need to know if I need 2 copies of this down the line. Obviously, it'll take twice as long.
Okay, well, y'all can handle that offline, okay? I will get an order out. I did see, the notice on the report, so I will enter an order allowing Mr. Gano to distribute his work.
Yes, Judge.
All right. 2 weeks. Two, maybe 3,
We're gonna be in
Judge,
maybe
I
the
would-
week of May 5th.
Yes,
middle
ma'am,
of the
I'm out
Tenon
all next
trial.
week, so I would ask for 3 weeks. So I have time to coordinate.
Sometime the week of May 5th.
Yes, Judge.
You all tell me.
If it's fine.
5th? Okay.
We could have the 6th or 7th.
Judge, I have a 10 o'clock federal court hearing on the 6th, so for as long as you can get me out of here by 9:30.
7th? Really, Mr. Crody?
I'm available the 7th.
7th? Have you all talked about the trial date? It's set for October. We're not going to make it.
We've discussed it.
Mr. Rahi was not at the last court date, so we
Right,
discussed
so
the trial date. I
I'm-
think the defense was going to.
I'm just asking, did you all discuss it amongst yourselves, or do you want to wait until this May 7th date?
The state has discussed it amongst our team. We have not discussed it with defense yet.
Do you want to wait until May 7th?
That's fine, Judge. Do we want to strike the October dates at this point? I don't think anyone in this courtroom believes we're going to make it.
Let's strike it.
Thank you.
So I'm holding courtrooms. The clerk's office is, even what I'm trying to get y'all to do, like Mr. Mizrahi, you weren't here, but my thought was we move it to 2026, and with thought into scheduling, thought into if we're going to have that number of jurors, right? And I want them working as simultaneously as they possibly can. And when you all are talking about, like, we're going through the discovery, right? That the state thinks about how you would do it. As much
This is the third
duplication
hearing on
as
this
possible
crap. Yeah.
for the jurors. Obviously, physical evidence cannot, they could share it, but I want the juries working
And there's
as
an easy
simultaneously as they
solution.
possibly can.
Hard
So I don't want them
copy.
overlapping. I want them, like,
Good
for example,
Lord.
like one gets closed down, one is closing, both are working. The defendants, if it becomes necessary in the penalty phase, as much,
And it's a
as
gap.
little downtime as the jurors can have.
What? Well, that's it. Okay, that's it. Yeah, this is the third hearing. It's a capital case. Some of the things are web-based. You can print out something that's web-based. You can print a web page. This is oh, stop. This is ridiculous. It's a capital case. These people's life is on the line and they can't get it together to get digital copies of the discovery. Oh my God. Is this the first time they've ever used this system? This evidence.com or whatever it's called? This is ridiculous. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they did it. I've not heard the evidence yet, but from what I have heard in the the bond hearing, from what I heard in the bond hearing, but you know, they got the death penalty phase 2. So they need to have all this stuff where they can present it to a jury. I mean, geez, this is ridiculous. And to me, and I'm sure to you as well, Judy, all these attorneys look like kids. You know? It's like, get your stuff together. I want to mom all these kid lawyers. Get your stuff together. Oh, man. This is ridiculous. Print it all out on paper. Oh, man. Those poor twins. Okay, guys. That's all I'm going to do today because I have to go get my sleep study tonight. So I have to go pack and mentally prepare myself because I don't want to do this. Depending on how much free time I get tonight, I might do a members only video when I get all my things, all electrodes all over. Yeah, the state did say it was user error. Because the female defense attorney is young, but the guy is a little older. So he might not know what he's doing, but the young girl should know. But, well, I'm older too, I was going to say. But in their defense, zip files, now, back when zip drives were a thing, zip files were easy. Because you had the zip drive, and that's all there were zip files on the zip drive. You put the little disk in the zip drive, and it just unpacked them on your computer, and they worked. But I know. I was like, I don't know if I can stand that voice through a whole trial. But now I go to undo a zip file and I'm like, what just happened? Because I don't know where it goes and I can't open it right. And it's like a page here over here and a page over there and I'm like, what just happened? So I hate zip files now. When you used to have a zip drive, they were easy. They just and then they went where they were supposed to go and you could do everything. And now I'm like, oh God, don't be a zip file. Please don't be a zip file. I like old zip files, new zip files. What? Well, the sleep study is just so that my weight loss doctor can get a report. We know I have sleep apnea. I sleep with CPAP every night, but I haven't been to my pulmonologist in so long that he is retired. So when I called to get an appointment, they're like, oh, he's retired. Like, oh, it has been a long time since I've been to my doctor. So this way, my weight loss doctor is able to just set up an appointment without, it's like I don't get treatment, I just get a sleep study with a report. So it's not like a big deal. It's just, I just hate to do them. I mean, it's not like I just go to sleep, but I'm sleeping in a strange place, and then they come in and they wake me up a bazillion times, and I don't get good sleep. I don't get good sleep because, well, first off, the first half of the night I don't have CPAP because they have to show that I have sleep apnea. So the first half of the night sucks. And then they put the machine on me the last part of the night. So I'm probably going to be really tired tomorrow. Which is why if the trial doesn't start till Wednesday, that will be fantastic because I'm probably going to want to sleep all day tomorrow. And then Wednesday morning, I have another injection in my back. So Wednesday will be starting a little bit late, not too late. I made the appointment as early as I could, so it's 8:00 in the morning. So I should be home between 10 and 11. So we won't be starting too late, but it's good sometimes to start late because then you can catch up through sidebars and stuff. Sidebars. So, I didn't, because once I found out that the pulmonologist was retired and all that, I was just like, I don't want to have to go through a big, long wait and rigmarole and whatever. Like, I just want to do it and get it over with. So it's just to help with my insurance paying for all of my weight loss stuff. So it's supposed to help save me money on my treatment. I got chocolate ice cream on my finger. I had chocolate ice cream for lunch. I'm doing real good on my diet. Travis needs to quit bringing that stuff in my house. It's all his fault. I didn't tell him to get it this time, though, so it's not my fault this time. I didn't tell him to get it. See, that's why I need to get on a different medicine, because the medicine that I was on has kind of like leveled out, and that's what the doctor said. He said that medicine's not strong enough anymore. Because like when you lose a bunch of weight, like how everybody always says, like that last 10 pounds is the hardest to get off. Well, I got 50 more to go. I've lost 100 in total. I've lost 70 since I started the weight loss management. So that means I did the first 30 by myself, and then I started weight loss management. So then I have 50 more to go. So I need my insurance to pay for the rest of it. I mean, well, they've already paid, they've paid for the whole thing so far, but the home option would have been nice. But my dogs will be happy to see me when I get home in the morning. That'll be the best part. Because they miss me when I'm gone, and then they're all happy when I get home. Travis could care less. Okay, guys, I will see you in the morning. I should be back on time. What? Oh, the ice cream. Okay, I was like, what? No, he got it in his head that he wanted a chocolate milkshake. So, but he got the good ice cream. He got the fudge swirl brownie, super whatever it was called, super fudge brownie, instead of just the plain chocolate. If he got the plain chocolate, it would have been fine. It would have still made a chocolate milkshake. But no, he had to get the good kind. If we just got the plain chocolate, it would have been tempting. He knows I like stuff in my ice cream. If you're just going to put it in a blender, what's the point of getting the chunky brownie kind? Okay, bye guys. I'll see you in the morning.